Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
How true these words are. Only in America can terrorists kill people in the name of Allah and then have the news media primarily react by fretting and worrying that Muslims might be harmed by the backlash. How true. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Tuesday, National Have a Bad Day Day. Thank you very much, Kate Smith, and her great voice with God Bless America. And good morning to you. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call 734-6969. And without further ado, we go over to the main, over to the main studios of K-Bar, sitting there patiently waiting for me to finally shut up and say hi to Gina Jameson.
Well, good morning, sir. How are you?
I am fantabulous. How are you, the third member of the dynamic trio?
Actually, I'm doing well today. It's going to be an active and fun day no matter what.
You know what? I was looking at this list of all the different days that are represented on certain calendar events. And today is Have a Bad Day Day.
Okay.
It is also International Men's Day, and it's hard to find some real men anymore instead of these wussies they portray on television. Right. It is also National Rocky and Bullwinkle Day.
Which I found, our little clip.
And this is the most important part of what day it really is.
Okay.
It is World, and I'm not making this up, folks, it is World Toilet Day. You went to work on that one, babe. Hey, the plunger's stuck. Stop the water, lady.
I had to find it. So I did.
I'm not making this up either. Anyway, World Toilet Day is fitting on this program.
Sometimes, yes, it is.
Hey, who's going to give the pledge this morning?
Well, we've got Rotten on for the pledge and Mr. Michael Rogers on for the weather.
All right, Rotten, good morning. Have at it, my friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, my dear friend, you did a great job. Thank you for sharing with us this morning.
One more thing.
Yes, sir.
I want to wish Polly a happy birthday, and may she have as many more as she wants.
We're going to get to that right after the weather. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Have a great day. Thank you. It is time now for the world's best weatherman, and that happens to be our weatherman, Michael Rogers, weather.com. Good morning.
Good morning. 43 degrees right now in Murtaugh. Hello, everybody. Got rain in the forecast. When it's over, said and done, should give about half inch of water in the water bucket. Other than that, today and tomorrow, come out of it tomorrow. You're looking for a sunny and nice, cool weekend. 57 for the high, 40, you make that 39, 38 for the overnight low for today. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. If you don't know what you got.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate you as always. MichaelRogersWeather.com right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Daryl's Cleaners. Daryl's Cleaners. Daryl's Cleaners. There you go. I've said it 3 times. You should remember that now. 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. And they are the best. All you have to remember is Daryl's Cleaners, they are the best. That's it. Simply put, take all your clothes, all your curtains, everything you need cleaned in there, and it'll come home looking brand spanking new. I brag on them because it is the truth. It's never bragging when it's the facts. Daryl's Cleaners, they are the best at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Also, as I say every day on the program, we're very proud to have SafeLink Internet as one of our sponsors, and I'm very happy that they're also in my house, in my office, as Idaho's #1 choice in wireless high-speed Internet. SafeLink Internet, I'm telling you what, they are super. The service is great. Believe me, they have free installations, unlimited data. You're going to love it. 677-8000. Didn't get the number? It's easy. 677-8000. SafeLink Internet. You call them today. Yes, there is a birthday girl in the audience this morning. Gina, are you right there?
Yes, I am.
You know Al and Polly.
I know Al.
You
Yes,
sat
thank you.
with them at the last lunch bunch, did you not?
I sit with them pretty much every time at the lunch bunch.
Well, then let's crank up the music for this little lady that is absolutely going to jump up like the Wizard of Oz movie and click her heels together and have a great day. Polly Butler, it's your birthday. Whoa. Today is your birthday, and she gets a great gift. She gets to sit across the coffee table and look at the mug of Al Butler.
Sorry, Al, we love you, but Polly, we love you more.
Well, I tell you what, that's like looking at Mount Rushmore, isn't it? Just all the rocks. He's going to call.
Al is totally the individual, so Al and Polly, we love you. And Polly, put up with Al. Happy birthday to you.
Put up with him? How? It's her birthday.
Kicks him out of the house.
Huh?
I think she kicks him out of the house.
You know, she comes on as a very soft-spoken, very quiet, shy little lady, but you got to watch out for that kind.
I know.
Yeah.
Kind of like Helen.
Yeah. Oh, Helen? Helen Bradley? Are you kidding? Helen runs her own mafia.
I think she does, too.
I got to go. Hey, listen, happy birthday, Polly, and many, many more. Ramsey Heating and Electric, don't forget, they've got all your furnace filters. Not the cheap ones, but the good ones, so that when you touch the thermostat, it's not going to go, oh, it hurts. No, they're going to be ready to serve you. All the furnaces are. So stop in and get the good air quality air filters. Easy to say if you just say the words right. Good quality air filters. Not the cheap ones. Buy them by the box and save 10%. At, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they always have warm winters and cool summers. Today is also another special day. And here is the reason for this special day. 150 years ago, and I will read as follows. fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives, that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they fought for here and have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln, November 19th, 1863. The Gettysburg Address. You know, Gina, there's 3 words that, actually there's 5 words that strike me as standing out inside that Gettysburg Address. You know what they are?
What are they?
That this nation under God.
And we've lost that.
We've lost that. I'm not going to lose it on this program, and as I've said many, many times, I will go down swinging if anybody tries to change it, if anybody tries to insult me or the management by demanding a change of, you can't say God on the air, you can't say God bless, or anything else, because I'm not going to change. And there are those in this area even that have been offended by that and have tried to, in a very kind of a mouse-like way, stop me from saying it, and I'm not about to.
Don't.
Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give us a call. We would like to hear from you. While I'm waiting for your calls that I know are coming in, don't forget that if your car or pickup's been in a little fender bender or an accident or whatever and it needs some reparation, well, you better stop in where they say they strive to make your vehicle repairs undetectable, Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop. Absolutely the best, 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. I know, because I've done it with my vehicle when I had that fire this summer. Oh my, they did a great job. Yes, they did. Middlecoff Ford Lincoln Body Shop, 736-2490, located at 1243 Blue Lakes Boulevard in Twin Falls. Really, really nice folks. Oh, and let's not forget, too, our friends over at Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Wow. I mean, whatever you're looking for, I mean, whether it's jackets to stay warm, vests to stay warm, and all the snuggy boots to keep your feet warm, and the gloves, or whether you need livestock feed, or, oh man, what a tack department they've got over there. Great horse and tack department. And they just got everything. All the ropes, they've got it all for you at Valleywide Home and Ranch. That's why they call it the Valleywide Home and Ranch. Everything for the farm, home, and the ranch ready for you at Valleywide. Stop in and meet some really nice people today. Steve and the rest of the crew, Mandy, I tell you, great folks. Valleywide Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert. Oh, now, the Obama administration said that they are going to lower the goal of success for Obamacare to about 80%. I have never, ever heard anything so ridiculous in my life. They're going to lower the goals to say, well, we don't want to get maybe 100% participation. We can't possibly get 100% participation. We don't expect to get everybody on the website, so we'll just shoot for 80%. Oh, my goodness. A forlorn 20% they're just going to discard and can't get on the website. I guess that's okay. Their goal is still for the end of November to have this website up and running and everybody going to be amenable and acceptable to get on there. You want to bet? You want to bet? Now they're accepting mediocrity. And if the truth be told, they knew that Obamacare was not going to be ready by October 1st. And here's the thing that bothers me, and there's quite a few people that are stepping forward right now and are voicing their distrust in this. The Obama administration and Barack Obama himself knew that Obamacare was going to be a train wreck looking for a rail to run down, and they knew it wasn't going to be ready, but they kept their mouths shut right through the beginning of the election. So, oh boy, they didn't want to chase anybody away from voting for Barack. They knew this. And I'm going to give you another related note to something else that I said. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to be calling my website master, John Ellis, and I'm going to have him find in the tape where I mentioned this before the election for Barack Obama. I said this on the air. When they came out with the employment numbers or the unemployment numbers at September going into October, I said that when the unemployment numbers were at 8.1%, I said it would be very easy for the Obama administration to cook the books change the figures for their favor up to the beginning of the election where it was in its final days of the campaign. Do you know what? Now it is coming out. It came out this morning at 4:35 on the news that there is an investigation underway that, yes, they did cook the books on the unemployment numbers to back them off to about 7.8% just prior to the election so that Obama would look good. I'm telling you, between Obamacare and the cover-up and the cooking the books on the unemployment numbers right there, that may have been more than enough to sway the election for Mitt Romney. But it's the lying, it's the cheating, and it's the absolute corruptness of the Obama administration that bought the election. I'll stand behind that, and if you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine. Lying, cheating, and corruptness bought the election for Barack Hussein Obama. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I got some more turkey promos in yesterday, or I should say turkey letters, and we're going to have the first drawing on Thursday. Don't miss it. I'm serious. What Thanksgiving means to you. All you have to do is send those to me at zebattheranch@hotmail.com. That's ZEBATTHERANCH @ hotmail.com. I think I can still get them snail mail if you drop them in the mail today. A little paragraph about what Thanksgiving means to you. And we want to say thank you to Smith's Food King, Ramsey Heating and Electric, and also our dear friends at Valley White Home and Ranch, and of course Zeb at the Ranch, for having these turkeys for drawings starting on this Thursday. Get them in here. Hurry. Fast. Gene, a quick question. I'm hearing a little static. Are we coming through okay?
Sounds all right to me.
Oh, okay, as long as it is. You are the boss. And if you say it's okay, then that's okay. That's okay. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, by the way, stay on the microphone for a minute. I have a question for you. Are you able, or do you have to run over to our sister station real quick?
No, I'm good.
I've taken some criticism over my dislike for Bill O'Reilly, okay?
Okay.
There have been those that think that Bill O'Reilly can walk on water, and personally, if he didn't know where the rocks were, he'd get wet. But last night, on his television show, and I want to see how much anybody else heard this out there, so give me a call. Last night, Bill O'Reilly basically called us, me, people like me, bigots. Bigots. Because we didn't trust the background information of Barack Hussein Obama. He was in one of his diatribes last night, and they were talking about Obama, and he and Obama have worked together on some projects and everything, and I think behind the scenes, Bill O'Reilly is nothing but a first-class phony. But he made the statement last night that for those of us in the news media that criticize Obama and question his background, whether it's his birth certificate, whether it's his religion, where he was born, his ideology, or whatever, we are bigots. And he said that on tape last night. Now, that was highly offensive to me, because I have questioned it, and I think everybody has a right to question it. But not only that, but look at the people like Sean Hannity. Look at the people like Laura Ingraham. Look at the people like Mark Levin. Look at the people like Rush Limbaugh. Everybody has questioned about this man's background because we don't know. Are we bigots because we question? That's my question to you.
No, we are not. We are critical thinkers who want to make sure that we have the right man for the job in the position that he's being hired for.
And if he already has the job, then we're questioning as to whether or not there were legalities that he overstepped to get into the job.
Amen. So are we racist for that? Absolutely not. We're critical thinkers. We are those that are going to push the envelope and ask why, what for, what are you doing this for? And
O'Reilly seems to have some kind of a holier-than-thou, godlike quality that just absolutely sickens me. Yeah. And when he called, and basically what he did, when he called people that question this bigots, he basically set up a fence around himself that others that work for not only his network, Fox News, but others in the news media that are questioning as to whether or not this man is legal, whether or not this man has gained presidency by fraudulent means. And like I said, I just mentioned just a handful. But Bill O'Reilly is not the judge, jury, and executioner, and I find that highly offensive for him to label people as bigots.
I find that highly offensive, too. And honestly, I don't respect him as a commentator. He's not a newsman. All he is, he's a political pundit that puts in his own, opinion, which, okay, it's an opinion show, whatever. I don't like the guy, and I refuse to watch him, and you've got a phone call.
Well, the reason I watch him, quite frankly, is to make sure that I don't overlook some of his idiocy like he portrayed last night. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I watched that last night, and if I was Mary Catherine Ham, I'd get up and I'd smack Warren Williams right in the mouth and turn around and belt O'Reilly so hard his eyes would cross.
It's absolutely disgusting how O'Reilly conducts an interview, asks a question, and gives the interviewee maybe at the most 10 seconds response, and then he covers them up with his own thoughts. Why even waste the time and the effort of having guests on the program?
Yeah, I know. When I was sitting there and Warren was shooting his mouth off, I heard Mary Catherine say, "Oh, boy."
Yeah.
In the background.
We've had Mary Catherine Ham on this program, Al.
Get her on again.
I'm working on that.
Stand up and tell them two to shut the hell up.
Well, and now, I don't know. I'm going to put you on the spot here because I don't know if you picked up on what I just said earlier with O'Reilly, but he made a very, very, I think, conscionable mistake last night when he called others that question Obama and question his background as bigots. I found that very offensive.
I know it. He can say it when he first started out on Obama, but now he's changed his mind. He's just a flunky monkey like the rest of them. I'm
beginning to think you're right. Thank you for sharing with us this morning. And happy birthday to Polly.
Yeah, and you was picking on me, wasn't you?
Oh, not bad.
Backside of Mount Rushmore?
Well, I just said...
Watch that.
Okay, well, you're not going to get an apology from me.
This is going to get you.
I know. I'll look forward to it.
Look
Thanks.
out, boy. It's coming.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.
Calls welcome, 436-22441-866-927-4587. I know a lot of people that like O'Reilly. I know a lot of people that think he's probably one of the best commentators on television or in the talk show aspect of that media. I don't know why. I find him to be just repulsive to the point where on many, many occasions, when the information is readily available for others to study and read up on, O'Reilly has a tendency to not do his homework, get backed into a corner. I'll give you an example. Charles Krauthammer many times backs him up because Bill hasn't done his homework. And he's found to be, educationally, incompetent. Travel Lube Supply, 1050 West, 203 South of Hayburn with Jim McCall. Jim called yesterday morning early, and he said, "Hey, Zeb, we're having a closeout special on Cummins engine oil filters." That's right, they're overstocked, and they need to get them out of the store. They're taking up room, and so that means you are going to share in very low prices. You better check it out today at Travel Lube Supply. Give them a call, 438-8730. Don't forget they got the pink Bubba ropes, and they've got all the plowshares, and they got the antifreeze. They've got everything for you at Travel Lube Supply. Call them, 438-8730. It is time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, and it's brought to you by Pacific Steel and Recycling, two wonderful locations serving you, and that's, of course, at 320 West Main in Burley and 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. Here's the Ag Minute.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
The popularity of a free Idaho State Department of Agriculture pesticide disposal program continues to increase significantly as more farmers discover it is a safe and easy way to get rid of unused pesticides. The ISDA program allows farmers, dealers, applicators, and homeowners to dispose of up to 1,000 pounds of herbicides, insecticides, fungicides, or rodenticides every year without charge. The department has collected increasing amounts annually since the program started in 1993. This year, destroying a total of 186,520 pounds. The ISDA conducted collections this spring in southwestern and northern Idaho, and two fall collections served residents in eastern, south central, and southwestern Idaho.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Oh, my goodness sakes, I'll tell you what, Pacific Steel and Recycling, and right now, during the month of November, having a canned food drive to help others in the community bring in and 2 cans of food and receive 10 cents more per pound, or you can also receive $20 per ton for iron and tin, and all the proceeds go to the Helping Hands. These are wonderful people serving you. Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main in Burley, and 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. Quick note, right now I also wanted to mention that a little quick story that I got to share with Gina real fast, and then I want to get into another story that should elevate some phone call activity. Did you hear about New Jersey, over on the coast of New Jersey, where they have a naval yard? Well, a very few people, as a matter of fact, they've had about 2 or 3 complain that the Navy, at the Navy Yard in the morning at 8 o'clock. Now, this is very important to stress. 8 a.m. 8 a.m. has the national anthem as they raise the flag at the Naval Yard. And a couple of people that live fairly close to the Naval Yard have complained and said, stop playing that national anthem at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's too early. And can you believe that the Navy would even give credence and possibly even think about stopping or curtailing the national anthem because of a couple of complaints? I think they ought to boom it up. As a matter of fact, most residents in the area said, turn it up. Turn up the sound system, and we can all, in honor of our flag being raised, honor our country with the national anthem. But a couple of naysayers with the IQ of a bicycle spoke are saying, oh no, that's too early in the morning, 8 o'clock, well, my goodness, decent, common people are trying to sleep. No, they're not. No, they're not. Keep playing the anthem, and I say turn it up. If it's at an 8, turn it up to a 15. Let them rock them right out of bed. Oh, I can't say too much about people that sleep in this morning because I called a friend, at least he was a friend, at 7 o'clock this morning, and Gina, this is interesting because you've talked to these people, but I'm not going to mention who it was on the air because I don't want to embarrass them. But the phone rang like 4 times at 7 a.m. this morning, and all of a sudden this voice came on the line and said like this. Hello. And I said, hello, are you all right? It's dark outside. Well, yes, it was dark at 7 o'clock. But, I always feel that when I get up at 3:45 in the morning, the world should get up at 3:45 in the morning. Don't you feel that way?
Well, I get up at 5:30 in the morning, and so you get up slightly earlier than I do. But wake up, people. At 7 o'clock in the morning, honestly, for those of us who have a life and have jobs and have kids, got to get them off to school, we're up already anyway, so get up.
This is a dear friend, or at least he was prior to that phone call.
Oh.
And I'm not going to mention any more because I'm not going to have him drive over here and, quite frankly, hit me in the eye. So I'm just going to let it go.
He might have your calls blocked from now on.
Anyway, that hello that he gave me this morning, it was like, I'm on the guillotine and they're going to chop my head off. Anyhow. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox, of course, qualified home comfort systems. You better believe it, gas furnaces, heat pumps, you and your family will always enjoy the comfort. Call them, Ramsey Heating and Electric, at 678-0459, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. You may or may not have heard about a big flap that happened in the Cheney family. And I'm going to take this call, and then I'm going to get into this between Liz and Mary Cheney. And I've got a couple of questions I want the audience to answer. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
So how many ways can you tell a story without telling a lie?
How many ways can you tell a story without telling a lie? Well, really, there's only one way, and that's just with the truth.
Yeah, and when I was listening to you a while ago, I just jotted down a few things about how Obama tries to skirt around it. Like, he may say, well, these are half-truths.
Yeah.
Or his favorite things are myths. And I don't mean an unmarried lady. I mean misspoken, misunderstood, misinformed,
Yeah.
and misinterpreted.
You know, now, wait a minute. I want to stop you right there. Repeat those 4 again, because each and every word is applicable to what Obama has done over Obamacare. Repeat those 4 real fast. Go ahead. Give me those 4 words again.
Misspoken.
Yep, many times he said that.
Misunderstood.
Oh, he said that so many times.
Misinformed.
Oh, he uses that excuse.
Misinterpreted.
Yes. In right there,
Is
right there, Keith.
my favorite. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, we're having a walkover here, and I apologize. That last one, misinterpreted, is my favorite that he has used. And the reason is, basically what he's telling everybody when he says misinterpreted, his remarks were misinterpreted, whatever, he's basically telling the listening audience to whatever he was saying that they were too doggone dumb to really ascertain what he meant.
My favorite saying is, what I meant was.
I agree.
He just skirts around it. He just, if he just learned the word apology, I think somebody needs to look up in the dictionary under the word apology and then present this to him and see if there's anything there he might have recognized.
I think, Keith, honestly, this man, and you might not agree with me on this because you have every right to your opinion, but I think this man right now is a pathetic, groveling little man, very downbeat and very beaten down because of his incompetency, his amateuristic attitude towards being a president, and his lack of knowledge and ability. I think this man is cowering in a corner right now, looking and grasping for any avenue that might put him back into the limelight in a favorable position, but I don't see anybody turning on the lights.
I don't either, and this is his trademark, his signature thing is Obamacare, and it's going down in flames.
How can it not? It's affected almost every family in the United States to some degree.
How would it be, Zeb, if you had one of these plans and the insurance company said, as of December 1, you no longer have coverage.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah.
And you're not going to go to this website because it's going to come unraveled. So what do you do? And then you have appendicitis or something like that. Then you find yourself deep in debt.
Well,
all because of this.
What Senator Dean Cameron said yesterday really is the most sensical way of taking care of this problem, Keith, and that's to get a hold of your local agent right now. Get a hold of an agent, sit down, find out what you have, what you don't have, what you have and might lose. Take care of it through a local agent. These people are there to serve you, and serve they are. Do not I would say don't take it upon yourself to go to the website and do anything, without first contacting a local agent.
That's absolutely right, and I do have Todd Siemens and Dean Cameron take care of all my insurance needs from my company and my personal use. And sometimes they'll do something for me that there's not a dime in it for them. That's some good advice.
It comes all back to service in the community. Keith, I got another one waiting. Thanks. God bless you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Oh, my goodness sakes. How is my favorite lady that I'm going to be so polite to because I am scared of her?
I was just wondering if you could answer me a question.
Uh-oh.
Do you think it'd be advisable for me to hire Obama as a lawyer for my mafia?
Well, I can't imagine it wouldn't dirty the water any. It's already pretty dirty there. he wouldn't help or hurt anything.
Come.
No, seriously, you ask a good question in regards to his personality. And this man as a lawyer, this man as a student and teacher of the Constitution has circumvented the law, gone around the Constitution, gone around Congress, and I don't know why more Americans can't realize he's acting right now like a tin can dictator.
Well, really and truly, when you look at push comes to shove, can you think of two people, Bill O'Reilly and Obama, that are more alike?
I agree with that.
They are nothing but bloviating bubbleheads.
I think that's an apt way to put it, and for me to say that I would argue with you would be an act of defiance and stupidity, and I'm not going to do that.
Hey, have a good day.
God bless you. Thank you so much. I read something in the paper this morning, Times News, as I was perusing through all the papers and the magazines for today, and I read something, and it bothers me, and I forgot to cut it out. But basically, it was a story written by a local journalist about Obamacare. And I know this journalist, and I know that this person can be a very good investigative reporter. And I'm synopsizing now and paraphrasing. I'm not reading it right from there because I don't have the article in front of me. It was that this journalist had accepted the fact that Obamacare is now a law and that we all should sit back and just basically leave the law alone and let it progress. Now, that's not journalism as I look at it. There are too many questions that have been unanswered because of the thrust upon society of Obamacare. There are too many things that have broken the law because of Obamacare, and there have been way too many items that have circumvented the Constitution because of Obamacare. And when I read this about how this particular reporter wanted to just have basically everybody be quiet and let it alone because now Obamacare is a law and let's just learn to accept it, that's not journalism the way I look at it. Journalism should be investigative. Journalism should be inquisitive. Journalism should always ask the dynamic questions of why, and how come. And I don't think it should stop because something has turned into a law. That doesn't mean that there's not questions. That doesn't mean that maybe it became law with maybe some illicit means. And I think that when journalism stops asking questions about a law that's in force or not, then journalism stops to be journalism. It's no longer journalism. It's just following along and putting things on paper that they want you to put on paper. That's my opinion. Maybe you disagree. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. We're going to have a look at the weather right now. And the weather brought to you by our friends at Quali's Electronics at 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls with lots and lots and lots and lots of TVs in stock. I mean, you walk in the door, they've got some easy watching television chairs there. Yeah, I mean, kick back, put your feet up, and pick out the one you want. Oh, yeah. Lots of TVs in stock. They got increased factory instant rebates now on Sony and Samsung televisions. I'm telling you, why wait? Get in there today. Treat yourself. We did. At Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Here's Michael Rogers' weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers from MichaelRogersWeather.com. Yucky couple of days for today, at least for today and tomorrow. Got rain in the forecast, and it's going to continue all the way into tomorrow. We're looking for a high right around 52 for the high. The currently right in the upper 30s. That'll continue into tomorrow. Once we get out of tomorrow, you've got nice weather, cooler temperatures all the way through Monday. So enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. I'll let you guys.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Boy, he must have been in a little windstorm right there. Michael Rogers' weather brought to you this hour by Quali's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Now, as you may or may not know, that Liz and Mary Cheney are the daughters of former Vice President Dick Cheney, and Liz Cheney is running for a Senate seat in the state of Wyoming. And she made a comment, and I am in total agreement with Liz Cheney, that she did not believe in gay marriage. She only believed in traditional marriage. And it has set a firestorm between her and her sister Mary. Mary is a lesbian and married to another woman. And this has caused a great big rift in the Cheney family. Now, there are those of you in the audience that would advocate gay marriage. There are those of you in the audience that advocate the gay, lesbian, and transgender lifestyle. You have a right to your own opinion, but so do we. Those of us that were brought up in Bible-respecting morality and what the Bible says as fact, why do we, and I'm pointing this finger right now at the audience out there in Radio Land that thinks we have to change and be acceptable of a lifestyle that we don't agree with, why do we have to change our views and our beliefs to accept what the Bible says is wrong? Why do we have to change to go along with what your thoughts are and your ambitions are to change and basically denigrate morality in this country? Why are we now, all of a sudden in history's time of today, why are we wrong and why are we the bigots and why are we the hate mongers? And when you bring time and history into this thing, can't we be respected for our opinion on traditional beliefs? But no, the name-calling starts. You're a bigot. You're a hate monger. You absolutely are out of tune with today. No, I'm not. I'm not out of tune with today. I have my beliefs, and they're biblically represented in the Bible that I believe in, and I'm going to stay that way. It's a morality that I absolutely adhere to. But, and the Bible's not wrong. So I have my beliefs, you have your beliefs, and we have a chasm in between each other. Now, I'm not going to change, and I don't think I should be asked to change. But they're forcing change upon our schools. They're forcing change in the military. They're forcing change on the news media, the television, radio, etc. Why can't we stand up for our beliefs? My question is, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm asking you to speak up on this thing, why do we have to change something that has been accepted as biblical fact, a morality system that we've adhered to ever since this great country started? Why do we have to change for them? Calls are welcome, and those that have courage will call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a jingle. I'd like to hear from you. While I'm waiting for your calls that I know will be coming in, one way or the other, I want to remind you about your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with the best of winter traction tires. And, of course, many are pinned for studs and ready to go. Get you through the ice, the sludge, and the snow. Hey, that rhymes. And, of course, they got the best in tires for everything. You know, like they've got the Eclipse tire starting at just $70.46. All-season reliability, long-lasting tread, 70,000-mile warranty. Woo! And I'll tell you all the shocks and struts. All the best in front-end alignments. Brake service extraordinaire. Best in batteries, tire chains, and snow wheels. It's all there for your safe wintertime driving at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy the old Seahawk fan on Overland in Burley. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, don't just breathe. Talk to me. What have you got for an opinion?
That's you, Carl.
Carl, come on, Carl.
Good morning, Seb. Every veteran has taken the pledge and has said that they will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution gives us free speech. And so we should... you should continue to give free speech and your thoughts to make things better. Now, everybody who's done that, the mayor, all of the politicians, everybody who's taken that pledge, there's no end to it. Just because you, at one time, were in the military, it doesn't say when you get out, you no longer have to do this. Mm-hmm. So, there you go.
Well, Carl, I want you to, I'm a little vague as to what your point is here as far as what I was just talking about. So you're saying that we have a right to our free speech, of which I'm never going to give up on this program, and I'm certainly not going to accept mediocrity or a viewpoint that I think is apprehensible to the moral fabric that I was raised in.
Yeah, I agree, and you're cutting out on me. I got to change phones.
Oh, okay.
But you guys have, everybody who's been in the military has a right to free speech and the duty to do the right thing.
I agree. Carl, always appreciate you, my dear friend. Take care of yourself. Thank you so much. Thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Mr. Bell.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, in addressing what you're talking about, you know, I don't object to anybody living the way they choose to live, but when they start infringing on my constitutional rights, my family's constitutional rights, and that of the nation. I mean, this is, it's okay for them to do what they want to do, but quit shoving it down everybody's goddamn throat.
All right, right there, you made a statement that I think is the key for what we're talking about this morning. I'm not telling everybody that they have to clean up their act and live as I do and my wife and my family. But what I am saying is, don't force your opinions. Don't force your lifestyle. Don't force what you consider to be the way everybody should live in our schools, our churches, and everything else, because that's where I draw the line. You can call me a bigot. You can call me a hate monger, because I absolutely am going to go along with the biblical principles that say that lifestyle is not right.
Well, I totally agree. And, you know, now that they're starting to teach it in the schools, I would, if I had children in school, and I've talked to my grandkids' parents, if they start coming home with that propaganda, pull them out of school and we'll homeschool.
Well, then, where's the equity in that last statement that you made, that if they're going to teach the absolute filth of a lifestyle such as that is very abhorrent to people that have any sense of morals whatsoever, why then can't we force the school boards to teach and counterbalance it with the teaching of heterosexual lifestyles the way we were brought up?
Well, we probably could, Zeb, but you know, it's going to take an act of Congress, and you know how I respect our Congress nowadays.
Yeah, I know.
I don't think it's going to get done. And I think if we, the people, stand up to the school boards and say, you will not teach my kids this. I mean, if they want their kids to learn it, that's fine. But they're not going to impose their beliefs on mine.
Well, see, and there's the point right there. This is a forced education, a forced acceptance of a lifestyle that most people, and I'm going to use the word most, that absolutely most people do not adhere to. And to have your children go off to school at 7:30 in the morning and be forced to listen and forced to accept this as a normalcy is not right, because you as a parent are not having a voice in what's going on.
That's right. And, you know, I'm right there with you. We need to stand up for what we were taught. You know, our kids, the way things are going right now, our children, we're not going to be so much affected because our lives are what they are. But our children, our grandchildren, great-grandchildren, on down the line, are not going to know the freedoms that we have enjoyed for the past 100 and some years.
Well, I agree with that. Well over 200 years. Yes, it is very sad. Donna, I appreciate your comments as always. Thank you. I got to get some more people in. Thank you very much.
Have a great day, my friend.
I will. Thank you. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Zeb. I agree with you 100%. We should not have to change. And it angers me that these small groups, whatever they may be, seem to think that the rest of us have to change to make their wrongdoing seem right.
That's right.
And it's not, but I don't know how to fix it. So I teach my family what I know to be right according to the scriptures and according to the Lord, and we live that way and hope that we can have a good effect. But we should not have to change for these other people. What happened to our freedom of religion and freedom of speech and these things that were guaranteed to us as being citizens of this great country that God gave us.
Why are we being pushed into these corners? Why are we being locked up behind these fences that say, oh, you're all bigots and hate mongers, and you haven't joined the trend of the new society, the new acceptance? I don't want to join that acceptance. I think it is absolutely abhorrent. I think it's a filthy lifestyle. I think it's against the biblical prophecies and morality of God, and I'm not going to stand for it on this program. And they can call me a bigot and a hate monger, and I don't care.
Well, I agree 100%. Deb, I need to make a quick announcement, if you don't mind, for Project Rudolph. The paper has misprinted that our main bagging activity was last evening at the Bertie Junior High School, and that was not correct. So I want the community to know that it is tomorrow evening from 5 to 8 that we welcome the community to come and help bag for Project Rudolph and put these gift bags together.
All right, tomorrow evening, what time, where? Real fast.
From 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock at the Bertie Junior High School.
All right, glad you called, and hopefully everybody will make that correction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach.
You bet. Thank you.
Do what you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry I'm out of time for this hour, as we've got to get ready for the news coming up from ABC. Let me take a look here. What have we got coming up next hour? Oh, great guest next hour. With the Institute for Energy Research, the Director of Communication, Benjamin Cole, is going to be on the phone with us, and we're going to be talking about the absolute waste of money on green energy. Then at 9:30, we're going to find out exactly what's going on with terrorism in our country with terror expert Ryan Morrow. That's going to be great. 10:06, Dr. History is going to be here. And then Attorney James Herson at 10:30 this morning from California, talking about how Hollywood is already gearing up to throw and push Hillary Clinton in for the presidency in 2016. All of this and more on Zeb at the Ranch. We'll see you in 6. Oh, wow. Welcome back on a rainy Tuesday morning, November 19th. And I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch. And our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, along with some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho,
You know, the thing I like about Western Way Services, they do what they say they're going to do. They have the commitment and they fulfill it. Believe me, they say they're going to serve you, and they are always at your disposal. You know, what you need to do is call them and check out the dumpsters in various sizes. Maybe you're like me, going to clean out the garage. Oh boy, that's going to be a chore. And when you fill it up, they'll come get it. You better believe it. They really take care of you, along with the trash collection on their route service. Absolutely the best. All you have to do is just give them a call at 734-6969. Western Way Services, always at your disposal. Real quick, also, I want to say that tomorrow on Wednesday, as a matter of fact, at about 9:45, Joel Heward is going to be on the air with us from Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, owner-manager, and believe me, locally owned and operated and serving you and your families. Their staff is always committed to upholding the absolute highest of ethical standards with unquestioned integrity in serving, there's the key word, underline it, serving you and your family. So please give them a call today at 436-5636, 710 6th Street in Rupert. They're serving you, and believe me, there's a very, very tough time to get all the things done in a very short period of time after the death of a loved one. Please let them help. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert. Right now, let's go to the phone lines. And we're going to say good morning to a gentleman that's been on my program many, many times in the past, and I enjoy having him on the show because of his vast knowledge on energy, and that's the Institute for Energy Research Director of Communications, Benjamin Cole. Good morning, Benjamin. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Always good to talk to you and to talk to your listeners.
Benjamin, I got to ask you this. I have said for a long time on this program, long before I even knew you or had you on the show, that green energy was not the cost-effective, clean machine that everybody thought it was, and now it's starting to come out that, quite frankly, green energy is costing people money, it's dirty, it's costing livestock, animals, birds lives, and it's just basically not doing anything that it was purported to do. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, the downside of this clean green energy is becoming apparent with each passing year. And strikingly, the Environmental Protection Agency is starting to recognize that. I'll just give you one example. You don't experience it right up there in Idaho, but I'm a Texan, and down along the Gulf Coast, we've experienced it because all that downwater wash from Iowa, from the fertilizer they're putting on cornfields in order to keep creating massive amounts of ethanol, it washes right down the Mississippi. All of that fertilizer feeds algae in the Gulf Coast, and there are literally hundreds of thousands and millions of acres of Gulf Coast that is just dead water. Nothing can live there because the algae growths are sucking all the oxygen out of the water, and fish are just dying. So, I mean, that's just one of the downsides of what's been happening with this push to produce so much corn ethanol. It's a lopsided. It's just a wrong-headed policy. Folks are starting to have to realize that corn belongs on our plate, not in our gas tank. And so, yeah, clean green energy is not as clean and not as green as the environmentalists would like to believe.
Benjamin, let's elaborate on this a little bit, because I said way back when they were starting to really make a push for more cornfields to help grow our fuel, I said this is absolutely idiotic. And a lot of people criticize me. A lot of farmers in this area criticize me. But really all it has done is just push everything out of whack. You can't grow enough corn in this country for food and for ethanol. And besides that, the higher elements of ethanol in our fuel now have caused a lot of problems with the engines, and it's just absolutely everywhere you turn around in this story, it's a negative.
No, you're exactly right. And what's interesting here is the ethanol policy in this country really pits one farmer against the other. It pits corn and agriculture, crop-based farmers against livestock farmers, because the feed for livestock farmers comes from where do we get it? Corn. And so corn prices have shot through the roof, from just around $2 a bushel before we started this ethanol madness up to around $7 and $8 a bushel right now. That's 4 times the cost of corn in the span of about 7 or 8 years. Where's that cost being borne out? It's not just higher fuel prices, it's higher food prices and feed prices. So really you have a farm policy and you have an energy policy right now that hurts one group of farmers to the benefit of the other group of farmers. And even the group that purports to benefit is having to pay higher fuel prices for their tractors because of corn additives into ethanol. It just is a lose-lose situation. There is no win with our ethanol policy in the United States right now.
Benjamin,
except perhaps, let me back up, except perhaps for the lobbyists who are filling their pockets with cash to push this ethanol policy.
Very good point.
They're not louder than anybody else because they see the end of the cash cow.
Very good point. But there's a group of people that are lost. I can't find them. I'm not worried about them because I wish they would fade away from being so much in the forefront, and that's the environmentalists. When you have stories about what's coming down through the Gulf with all the extra fertilizer in the water, and when you have stories about how bird kills are enormous bird kills because of wind power, and when you talk about ethanol destroying the environment, where are the environmentalists on this story?
Oh, yeah, they run and hide. It really is sort of an ostrich strategy on their part. They want to duck their heads in the sand and pretend that it's not happening. But it is happening. And let's just take one of the metrics, that the president and the environmental left wants to use to judge all energy policies by. What is the carbon footprint? Do we increase carbon emissions? That is the litmus test the president wants to use for the Keystone Pipeline. For everything that he thinks is going to be bad for the environment, he throws up this carbon emissions test. Well, what a recent study found is that actually the increased ethanol production is growing carbon emissions from this green energy push. As they plow up ground, as they destroy conservation lands, as they rip up native grasslands all across the Midwest, to expand the cornfield productions, they are releasing huge amounts of carbon into the atmosphere. Now, I don't think that's the big doomsday scenario that all the greenies do. But what I am saying is by their own test of what are the increased carbon emissions, and if anything increases carbon emissions, they're opposed to it. Well, my friend, corn-based ethanol production and the efforts that have gone in to rip open the Midwest and break into conservation lands and grasslands has released more carbon dioxide than anybody really can estimate at this point. They fail by their own litmus tests for this green energy policy.
Benjamin, Tom Vilsack, the Agriculture Secretary, made a statement, and I want you to respond to it, because to me it was nothing more than a shallow lie and a cover-up. He said, quote, "There is no question air quality and water quality is benefiting from this industry," meaning the ethanol industry. How did he get by with saying something like that without being challenged?
Well, I guess it's because he didn't take questions from reporters when he made the statement. That's a classic tactic of Washington politicians, and all politicians, really. You know, the fact is that our air quality is better and our water quality is better since we started measuring these things. If you want to go back to 1970 and the creation of the Environmental Protection Agency, we do have cleaner water. We do have cleaner air now, despite the fact that we have an increased population. We're using more fossil fuels. We're using more. We're burning more electricity. We're burning more coal than we did in 1970. All of these so-called dirty energy sources are being used in greater amounts now than they were in 1970. Yet our air is cleaner and our water is cleaner. It was cleaner in 2005 when the Energy Policy Act of 2005 was put in place. It started this whole ethanol nonsense. It was cleaner in 2007 when they revised the Energy Policy Act in order to increase the ethanol mandates. We've been having cleaner air and cleaner water long before Tom Vilsack and the agriculture lobby and the ethanol lobby came to Washington hat in hand looking for favorable bills to help pump up an industry. Now, and we do have cleaner water and we have cleaner air, but I don't think that Tom Vilsack can take credit for that. Really, it's sort of tantamount to the rooster crowing and seeing the sunrise and thinking he caused it. It's sort of like President Obama taking credit for oil and gas production. He's had nothing to do with it. Ethanol policy has had nothing to do with cleaner air, cleaner water. Ask the people who live along the Mississippi River and the Gulf Coast if they're thinking their water is cleaner because of the increased nitrogen fertilizer that's being used all across the Midwest and washing downstream.
You know, Benjamin, I got to ask you this, and it's not off topic. It kind of all blends together, but the Obama administration hates literally the coal industry and has vowed to shut it down. You, of course, are closer to this situation every day and everything that crosses your desk. Simple question is, once the coal industry is shut down, are we as citizens of this country going to rely on the power grids to be functioning in a 100% fashion with solar and wind power? You know as well as I do that's not going to happen for maybe at least another 35 years. Where do these people get off killing an industry that's supplying our power?
Well, I'll tell you this. What's happening with the president's policy, it just doesn't even make sense. If you look at wind and solar, total supply to our grid is a little over 3%. 3% of our electricity is dependent upon wind and solar. The remaining supply comes from hydroelectric, which you have a lot of hydroelectric power up there where you are. That is the most reliable renewable source because you can turn it on and turn it off. You can open up those dams and you can close out those dams when you need to. The other thing, the rest of our electricity supply comes from coal, natural gas, and nuclear. About 80% of all that we use comes from those reliable, always-on fuel sources. The president does want to shut down coal-fired power. His Environmental Protection Agency is making all kinds of efforts to do just that. There's two bright things on the horizon. One is global demand is up, and we have the ability to export coal to our allies around the world who are looking to use it, including Germany, which 10 years ago started down this exact same path that President Obama set for our energy policy, yet they're backing away from their renewables. They're realizing solar and wind can't fill the gap, and they're going back to coal-fired power to supply the German economy. China's coal use is shooting through the roof. So there is a future for coal. The sad thing is it's just not going to be here in America if we stay on the current path this administration has put. We're down to about 40% of our total electricity supply coming from the coal coal mines right now, most of which are out there in your area in Wyoming and then Kentucky and West Virginia. Those three states produce most of the coal that we use here in the United States. Look, coal is a clean, reliable, always-on, affordable source of electricity. And the only people who would want to kill the coal industry would be the people who wanted to drive up electricity prices. And the only reason they would want to drive up electricity prices is because it absolutely would mean controlling our economy and the sources of energy available to us.
Absolutely.
If you can drive up the price of coal, if you can drive up the price of natural gas, if you can drive up the price of nuclear through regulatory activity, then wind and solar starts to look affordable. But as long as those other sources, the always-on sources like nuclear, natural gas, and coal, are allowed to just operate in the market free of onerous regulatory activity, anyone looking at the bottom line would say, wait a minute, wind costs 10 times as much. Solar costs 8 to 10 times as much. I mean, this is unbelievable that we would pay this. And the only way that we can actually begin to think that these are equal sources is if you artificially drive up the price of coal and natural gas and nuclear through regulatory activity, and you artificially bring down the price of wind and solar through taxpayer-funded subsidies.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question. Caller, quickly. I'm short on time. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning. Hey, the next thing, we've been talking about corn being for ethanol. The next thing that they're working on is these poplar trees, groves of those. They're still taking land out of protection for food for up to 3 to 4 years. How do we get Congress, how do we get EPA, environmentalists, all these people to understand this is stupid? It's not going to work. It hasn't worked, and we're losing ground for feeding people.
All right, let's have Ben respond. Ben, what about it? And the lady's right. I mean, taking ground out of production for fuel purposes, I think, is absolutely a crime. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. Look, there's a difference between food and fuel. We understand that. A child understands that. A simpleton understands that. There's a difference between what the things that we want to put on our tables and the things that we should put in our cars to make them run. It just doesn't make sense to try to invert these two things. But I'll agree with what your caller's basic point is this. It is a stupid policy to begin to tear up land that should be used for producing food. And we still are the breadbasket of the world. I mean, all corners of the world look to us to supply them with food that they need. I'll tell you what's happening right now. If you just look at the cost of corn and grain because of what's going on with our energy policy, do you know how much more expensive it is for us to help starving people around the world, to send them just a bag of corn? The cost to do that sort of missionary work, if you will, that sort of goodwill work around the world has increased dramatically. And if we're looking to bring down the cost of government, if we're looking to bring down the expenses of what it costs our State Department, for instance, to do foreign aid, ethanol policy right now and the energy policies are driving up artificially the cost of these basic food staples that we then want to supply to people around the world that are starving. How much more is it costing our State Department to supply these foods that are now artificially and arbitrarily raised in price because of this energy policy? It just doesn't make sense.
Ben, one final thought here before I let you go this morning. And again, you're closer to this with all the stories and legislative news that comes out of your area. But when we look at the Obama administration, and I've been just cringing, honestly, in fear of what his climate change philosophy bill is going to be and how it's going to be dictated to the American public. I'm sitting here really worried that after Obamacare, we're going to be looking at an immigration reform bill. We're going to be looking at a climate change bill. This man wants to totally transform America. What are your thoughts about an energy bill that will basically put us back in caves in burning buffalo dung?
Well, it's right now. There's any sort of energy bill is dead on arrival. If I could just correct you very briefly, there is no bill. The president knows there's no. He had one. It was called cap and trade, and it failed. It couldn't pass a Democratic-controlled, filibuster-proof Congress. His energy bill failed. There is no bill coming from the White House. He wants no legislative action because he's going to regulate what he can't legislate. He's basically, to be quite honest, he's just sticking the number one finger up to Congress and the American people and saying, I'm not going to do this using the democratic processes established by the Constitution. I'm going to do this my way. I'm going to do it from the White House and the White House political office, and we're going to send memos around to all the departments and agencies of the federal bureaucracy, and we're going to tell them to do and implement my climate legislation. If we couldn't get through Congress, we're going to do it through regulation. I think that is the real threat right here. And as long as we have people who are willing to allow the president to get by with it, as long as we don't have people absolutely up in arms that we have a president who is circumventing the constitutional means of affecting policy, then we're going to have very serious problems. And I do think the agenda is, you tongue-in-cheek said, take us back to caveman days of burning buffalo dung. I really do think that there is a retrograde agenda here to take America back, to bring us down to the levels of third world countries. And if you see some of the reports that come out of various administration agencies, and you see the numbers that they tout, they say, look how low the carbon footprint is in Nigeria. See how small the carbon footprint is in Afghanistan. Look how small the carbon emissions are in places like Malaysia. They show these numbers as though somehow the economic activity of those countries is something to be desired. And I think there is an agenda here to bring the United States down in terms of our global position. And you see this happening not just through energy policy, but through foreign policy, immigration policy. And I don't want to get too far out of my wheelhouse here, but Zeb, I do agree with your sentiment. I think there's an agenda here. I think it becomes naked and apparent with each passing day. And as long as we're willing to allow an administration to completely circumvent the constitutional means that have made this country great, we're headed for trouble, my friend.
Well, last question, short answer. What would you tell my audience to do? People have got to show their indignation and their revolt against what's happening with the energy policies of this administration, but they also are frustrated because they don't know how their voices can be heard. Tell people what they can and should do.
Sure. There's three things. The first thing they need to do is educate themselves, and I've got a great source for that, Institute for Energy Research.org. If they would go visit our website, they can find about any of these energy policies. The second thing they need to do is they need to talk to their neighbors. Nothing is good if you're just one voice, but talk to your neighbors and begin to discuss these things around your communities so that people begin to understand how it affects them as a community, as a county, as a state. And then third, contact your elected representatives from the lowest level to the highest level. Start with the Just the Peace and the precinct guy. Go to the commissioner, go all the way up to the United States Senate and to the White House. And at every level of our democratic society, engage these issues as an informed citizen who is representing their own best interests, because that's what makes our country great.
Absolutely. This is quite a guy. I appreciate him being on the program. He knows what he's talking about. Institute for Energy Research, Director of Communications, Benjamin Cole. Benjamin, thank you once again, and if I don't have a chance to wish you beforehand, happy Thanksgiving and a Merry Christmas.
Hey, you too, Zed. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Very, very well-informed individual right there. Benjamin Cole with the Institute for Energy Research. I know some other people that are very, very knowledgeable about insurance, and that's, of course, Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens at Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. All you have to do is just get over there or give them a call, and they'll arrange for an appointment so you can talk about your life insurance protection, your health insurance protection, your retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this to make sure that you have a security blanket ready for you and your business. Please contact them today, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Really nice people. Oh, by the way, if you haven't got it on your calendar yet, you should, because we're going to have our next Zeb's Lunch Bunch on December 5th, and we're going to be honoring Thanksgiving and Christmas together. And that's going to be at our new location at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery at 800 North Overland in Burley. Oh, the food is tremendous. The people are really, really nice. And they've got the very best of breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the menu. And, of course, don't forget their bakery with all their delicious pies. Oh, my. And all the muffins and the cookies. Everything is just fantabulous. You're going to love it. We love it at Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, 800 North Overland in Burley. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. You stop in and see those folks today. In just a very few minutes, we're going to have Ryan Morrow on the telephone with us, and I want to remind you that you still have time to get a short paragraph into me about what Thanksgiving means to you. I mean, what does it all mean to you? I mean, what are the values of Thanksgiving? Family and getting together and having a wonderful meal and giving thanks for everything you have. Send those thoughts to me, and we're going to have a drawing for some turkeys. We're going to be giving away some turkeys starting this week on Thursday, November 21st, and then again next week on the 26th. All you have to do is get those into zebattheranch@hotmail.com. zebattheranch@hotmail.com. That's zebattheranch@hotmail.com. Or send them snail mail if you wish. Zeb Bell Murtaugh, I'll get it. And our thanks go to Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, Ramsey Heating and Electric, Smith's Food King, along with Zeb at the Ranch, wishing you a very happy Thanksgiving. Okay. Also, don't forget our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Wow. Last week, they had a one-day appreciation day sale for their customers. It was phenomenal. They had people coming out of the woodwork to go to that sale. But you know what? They've still got all the sofas. They've still, not all of them, they sold so many, but they've got quite a great inventory of sofas and love seats and recliners. And they've got carpeting, rolls of carpeting, and mattresses for your sleeping comfort. They've got it all for you right now at prices that you cannot afford to pass up. So stop in and see my friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. Right now, they're waiting to see you. Let's get on the phone right now and talk to our next guest, getting ready to come on the show this morning, and he's been on this program many, many times in the past. He is the National Security Analyst for the ClarionProject.org, Mr. Ryan Morrow. Good morning, Ryan. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
It's always a pleasure to have you on because you've got the insight and, quite frankly, the knowledge to tell everybody in my audience exactly what's going on with the world situations, especially regarding terrorism. Ryan, am I wrong sitting here in southern Idaho and trying to analyze some of the verbiage that's coming out of not only the White House but also John Kerry's mouth about agreements with Iran that, to me, reek of appeasement, and they also reek of basically casting our best ally, Israel, off into the sand someplace for an agreement that's going to give possibly Iran a chance to extend and promote their nuclear activity. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, because the Israelis are saying that Iran should not be allowed to enrich uranium at all. That's what you need in order to develop a nuclear weapon. Iran says that they need the enriched uranium for domestic energy purposes, and virtually no one believes that. Now, this is where it gets a little technical, but it's important. In order to develop a nuclear weapon, you need to enrich your uranium to about 90%. Right now, the Iranians are enriching to 20%, and that actually brings them very close to having a nuclear weapon because it doesn't take long to enrich past that point. The Israelis are saying we don't want them to enrich uranium at all because we don't want to have a gap of just a couple months or a few months before they get a nuclear weapon. The Americans are saying, well, we're okay with Iran enriching to 3.5%. Because that's far away from the magic number of 90 that they need for a nuclear weapon. So that's where the split is happening between Israel and the United States.
Yeah, but Ryan, let me ask you a fairly naive question here. How do we really know if they're at 10%, 20%, 3.7%? How do we really know what's going on behind sealed doors?
You don't. And that's the problem, is that the U.S. is very confident in its intelligence capabilities in Iran right now. The Obama administration has said things like, well, we have eyes and ears on the ground, so we're going to know if Iran is moving towards developing a nuclear weapon and crossing that red line. The Israelis are not so confident in our capabilities, and so that's a major point of difference. But these sites are generally pretty big, so you can spot them by satellite, and at least the ones that have been currently recognized publicly are going to be under international inspection. So that's why the Obama administration is saying, okay, we'll have enough time to react to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon if they start moving past that red line. Meanwhile, like I said, the Israelis are saying, we're just not that confident in you.
Ryan, you know this better than anybody because you make a living studying terrorism and what's going on around the world. But if it were me today running this country and being in John Kerry's position, I would keep the sanctions imposed against Iran. As a matter of fact, I'd even keep them a lot tougher and a lot more stringent. I would want them basically ready to jump down on the ground on their knees and beg the United States to basically try to relieve them of their sanctions because I don't trust these people. Why in the world is John Kerry, through the Obama administration, so trustworthy of a nation that wants to take over as the superpower of the Middle East?
Well, just because I want to fairly frame this, even if I disagree with this possibility of a deal, the Obama administration argues we don't trust them, but we believe that we can verify their compliance. I'm not as optimistic. But one of the reasons that President Obama says that he believes that there is a basis for a nuclear deal is because supposedly the Supreme Leader has issued a religious declaration called a fatwa saying that it is a sin to develop nuclear weapons. And so he wouldn't just be lying like the Iranians normally do, but he'd actually be violating his own religion. Now here's the problem with that thinking. That fatwa banning nuclear weapons that the Iranian regime has supposedly issued is nowhere to be found. Hundreds of fatwas can be found online, but not that one, which means either it doesn't exist and the Iranians are lying through their teeth about it, or it does exist and they don't want us to read it, which means that there's probably an escape clause somewhere in there that they don't want us to know about.
One of your cheat sheet notes that I got, and I really appreciate these, I was reading and studying, and I've said for a long time the Middle East is going to be, naturally, according to biblical prophecy, the Armageddon of the world. But you talk about a Islamic superbloc that's forming over there, Turkey, the Muslim Brotherhood, etc. This area seems like it's just boiling like a teapot and ready to just let the water out the top end. I'm scared of what's happening over in the Middle East. Explain that superbloc a little bit to us.
Sure. Basically, the Middle East has been dominated by enemies of the United States and the West for some time, and so what has changed? Basically, before, we could count on our enemies killing each other, and they were so busy killing each other that they couldn't kill us. So in Syria, for example, you have a civil war that pits Iran against Al-Qaeda and the Muslim Brotherhood, and they're so busy killing each other and wasting their resources in that conflict that they're occupying themselves. But now what's happening is that you have three blocks. The first alliance, or bloc, is led by Iran and Hezbollah in Syria. It's the Shiites. Then the second bloc is Turkey, Qatar, and the Muslim Brotherhood, the Sunni radicals, and those two sides are killing each other in Syria, but those two alliances are coming together now. They're trying to, if they can, get past the fact that they're killing each other in Syria and say, look, we have bigger things to worry about now. The third alliance is not made up of Thomas Jefferson's and George Washington's, but countries that are more predisposed to be friendly to the United States because they hate both Iran and the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the other Gulf countries. But they're looking to countries like Russia and China in order to be their big partners now because they don't believe that the U.S. has their back.
Okay, but Ryan, there's a fourth interest that I'm really afraid about, and I voiced my concern to our Congressman, Mike Simpson, months and months ago about the acceptance into this administration, the Obama administration, of Muslim Brotherhood members. And they have basically a lobby right here in America, right here in this administration. Why in the world are we perpetrating their thoughts and possibly their actions against America right here in our own government?
Because it comes from the naive belief, but it's a popular belief, that the Muslim Brotherhood is moderate, and that especially if you're an American member of the Muslim Brotherhood, well, then you can't be equated with Hamas or some of the more radical members in Egypt. There's this idea that the Muslim Brotherhood is just kind of like this loose term that you throw around, and it doesn't mean as much as people like to think. But the biggest example of this infiltration that you're talking about, I would say, would be my interview with a senior Department of Homeland Security advisor named Mohammed El-Abiyari. And he explicitly defended the Muslim Brotherhood in his interview with me. It's published and out there at clarionproject.org. And he said that, but look, the Muslim Brotherhood is no different than Christian evangelicals, and the U.S. should not only not be concerned about the Brotherhood, the U.S. should ally with the Muslim Brotherhood. And that's a senior advisor to the Department of Homeland Security right now.
Deb Ryan, I'm sitting out here in the hinterland, and we're very worried about all these possible Muslim terror attack camps that are around the United States. I read a book by Martin Moyer, I'm sure you're familiar with it, called Twilight in America, to where they have verified that there are these terrorist camps, if you will, in Oregon, in Texas, in New York, and other spots of the United States. How dangerous right now are the Muslim Brotherhood and these terrorist camps right within our own confines of the United States? How worried are you?
Oh, I'm definitely very worried. The Muslim Brotherhood operation in the United States is more about political influence and influencing policy, and to some degree fundraising for their overseas activities. There's a second group called Jamaat al-Fuqra that operates under the name of Muslims of the Americas, and that's the group that you referred to with the terrorist training camps. That's a group that I'm very familiar with and I've done a lot of research on. They actually have a headquarters called Islamburg in New York State. That's about 60 acres large. So the information in that book is indeed accurate, and the organization that runs these camps says that they have 22 of what they call villages around the United States where at least some of them are used for guerrilla warfare training.
But Ryan, I guess I'm naive about this. I'm very scared about this. What about our congressmen? What about our senators? And what about our president himself? I mean, are they not watchful? Are they not getting news and reports as to how upsetting and how unsettling these camps could be if all of a sudden there was a call to arms and they attacked America? Are we not worried about this?
Well, there's two things that have happened. First, you have the Muslim Brotherhood-linked organizations in the United States are very powerful, and if you look at how they just tarnish the name of people like Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann and Congressman Louis Gohmert when they talk about this issue, they've essentially won in the media, and they've been able to basically make the story go away. So a lot of them don't even know that this problem exists. As for the camps, of those that do know that it exists, they would argue that the NYPD and the FBI has their handle on it, and that there's not much we can do because at least the majority of the people at these camps are American citizens, and so the most that the police can do is engage in intelligence gathering. They're not allowed to actually go in and dismantle them and throw these people in jail.
But with that knowledge that you just shared with us, you, Ryan Morrow, you know more than we do about this. How concerned are you right now that if there is a call to arms, what would America do to protect itself? I mean, we think these are our American citizens and neighbors. We could be overrun literally overnight and not know what to fight or who to fight.
Well, I don't think that in relation to the camps, those are fixed sites. And the FBI and Department of Homeland Security does have good intelligence on them, even if they're not allowed to dismantle them. It's limited intelligence, but it's still good. We know from Martin Moyer's book, for example, that the NYPD had a high-level informant inside of Islamburg. So if there is a call to jihad that goes out to these camps, the FBI will be able to defeat them. They will not overrun the country, but it'll still be bloody. It'll be like having dozens of the Waco incidents across the country. And basically, what really frightens me about these camps is that they follow a man named Sheikh Jelani, who resides in Pakistan, and it's more of a cult than anything else. They believe that Sheikh Jelani personifies God, and that every word, every instruction of his is to be strictly followed.
What would you tell the American public if you were at a podium right now? And I know that you, I hope, have you already had that television segment with the Kelly File and Megyn Kelly? Has that already occurred?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that.
You had an audience right there nationwide. What would you tell the common citizenry as to how to protect themselves or what to watch out for with these terror camps, possibly right in their backyard?
Well, the first thing that they need to do is educate themselves about what's going on in their state. And you don't have to be an expert on radical Islam to do this. What you can do is go to clarionproject.org, scroll down on the website, and there's a section of the website called Islamist Organizations in America. You can plug in your state, and you can see information about the organizations that operate in your state that we've done background research on. We have currently about 60 to 65 profiles of different mosques and radical Islamic organizations across the country, and I've got a list of about 200 to 300 more that we have to write profiles for. So it's a project that's in progress, but even at this early stage, you can go in, plug in your state, and see what the radicals are up to in your backyard.
Now, is it true, I don't want to end on this point, but is it also true that some of our own tax dollars, yours and mine, are actually being supportive of Muslim Brotherhood entities here in the United States? Isn't that true?
Yes, that is very true. For example, we know that the Islamic Society of North America, that's a Muslim Brotherhood entity, has received thousands of dollars from the U.S. Air Force in order to take out advertisements for chaplains in their magazine, so they've gotten revenue from the Air Force. We know that the International Institute of Islamic Thought, another Muslim Brotherhood entity, has teamed up with a federal agency that gives out grants as part of a student outreach program, so they're benefiting from taxpayer dollars. And most recently, on ClarionProject.org, we have a story about how $12 million has been given to a Syrian opposition group to help the rebels, and that opposition group is also linked to the Muslim Brotherhood.
When you look at the overall picture, and again, you're on top of this every day, this is what your life's work is, you're seeing this change and grow, kind of like a cancerous amoebic cell, if you will, every day. How concerned are you that on a step-graded process, 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows, how dangerous are these people to our Constitution and our lifestyle here in the United States?
Very dangerous. I don't believe that they're going to take over the United States, obviously, but can they do serious damage to our way of life, and especially to the way of life of people around the world? I think they already have. You can think about psychological damage, economic damage, aside from the obvious threat of a loss of life and property and revenue, and just look at the strategic ramifications of what happens overseas, because any type of realignment in the Middle East where the radicals gain power, whether it's over oil resources or just more territory, that does directly impact America's position around the world. So there's all sorts of different layers to this threat, and that's why we catalog it every single day at ClarionProject.org so that people can learn about it and keep track of it.
You are the best, and I really hail your job, and I say thank you so much. National Security Analyst for the ClarionProject.org, Ryan Morrow. Please come back in the near future, and again, if I don't see you or talk to you before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you very much. Wow. I don't even know what to say after an interview like that. I guess you could say how gullible we are. I guess you could say how stupid we are for allowing this to happen right on our own soil and allowing it to grow, like I used the term a cancerous cell, which it is, allowing our tax dollars to go to these groups so that they can grow, prosper, and thrive in the attitude of wanting to kill us right here on our own soil. I mean, I'm scratching my head here, and I listened to everything he said. I listened to what he said about what's going on over in the Middle East and the concerns over there as far as that being a bomb ready to be ignited. But we've got a bomb right here ready to be ignited. And it seems like our congressmen and our senators are so naive and so accepting, including our own Congressman Mike Simpson, that called the rest of us McCarthyists because we were concerned about the appointments of Muslim Brotherhood people to the administration, and he condemned Minnesota Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann for questioning about the Muslim Brotherhood. What in the world is the matter with these people? It's serious, it's a problem, and it could kill us. But the congressmen and senators seem like they've got their head buried in the sand or elsewhere. Time for a weather update right now, and the weather this hour is brought to you by our friends at Magic Valley Chalet and the Upper Crust. What a great place to go for all the cheeses, all the ice cream, and great meals upstairs. You're going to love it. 1367th Street in Hayburn. Wonderful, wonderful place. And don't forget, all the Gosner cheese, cheese platters, cheese balls, gift baskets are 20% off all the way up to Thanksgiving, so please stop in. Baskets start at just $15.95 and up, and they can customize a basket specially conveniently for you and deliver locally. Please stop in and see them today or give them a call at 679-0971. Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust in Heyburn. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Yucky couple of days for today, at least for today and tomorrow. Got rain in the forecast, and it's going to continue all the way into tomorrow. We're looking for a high right around 52 for the high. The oil, though, currently right in the upper 30s. That'll continue into tomorrow. Once we get out of tomorrow, you've got nice weather, cooler temperatures all the way through Monday. So enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. What do you got?
Thank you, Michael. Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust, 1367th Street in Heyburn. What a great place to eat. What a great place to go for all your cheese, ice cream, etc. It is the place. Bringing you the weather this hour with Michael Rogers Weather. I just don't know why we're so naive. I really don't. I'm sitting here and I'm just, like I said a moment ago, scratching my head listening to him during that interview as to how, I'm not going to use the word naive anymore. I'm just going to say dumb. Dumb that we would allow this to happen. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. A couple of weeks ago, I had a long talk with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in Washington, D.C., and the gist of the whole thing is I was trying to get some grant money to do some sage-grouse work, and there was always excuses. And what bothers me about what you were talking about and the money that these people are able to access for whatever they're doing is the fact that, you know, it seems that for good projects or good things to go on in our country, we can't get it, but these people can access it. And this really bothers me, that they're getting our tax dollars to beat us over the head with.
You just heard Ryan Morrow say, and all the people listening to this program say, millions and millions and millions of our tax dollars are going to the National Endowment for Humanities to give to organizations like the Muslim Brotherhood so they can further and perpetrate their terrorist activities and goals right here within our own country. And I'm sitting here, Jack, I absolutely do not understand how we as Americans can put up with this garbage and why our senators and congressmen aren't doing more to protect us. And I look at Mike Simpson, and I know a lot of people are going to be mad because I'm criticizing him, but he laughed at us and scoffed at us on the air and called me and others a McCarthyist because we were questioning about Muslims coming into the administration. And by gosh, I was right.
Well, that's completely true. Next Monday, I have a meeting with the guy that's Smith, and we'll see what he has to say.
But you're talking about the sage-grouse, and you're talking about other issues that affect America because of the idiocy of this administration and previous ones that have always wanted to cut back for land usage and just basically turn it over to the Agenda 21 philosophy. And at the same time, they won't give you a dime to perpetrate the furthering of a sage-grouse or help with the elk or the deer. They'll give money to people that want to kill us. Now, I can't figure this out.
I know. I'm frustrated with it too. If you figure it out, tell me what we can do.
Well, I tell you one thing we ought to do is the next time our politicians come to town, grab them by the short end of the necktie and tighten it up and get an answer. I'm fed up with this. I can't use one word on the air because it's out in the backyard in the barnyard, but I'll tell you what, I'm sick of their baloney that they feed us.
Well, I am too, and those people being able to access their money really bothers me.
God bless you, Jack. Thanks so much. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Thank you. Caller, quick, I'm going to ask you to stay on the line just for a minute. I'll be right with you. I promise. I've just got to get some of these commercials in quickly. Stand by. I'll be right there. Hold on. Let's Ride, Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. And Let's Ride is one of our sponsors, helping us with our Christmas Chorale, singing Christmas carols on December the 19th. You can stop in and check out all the great buys on the snow machines and the ATVs. And, if they got an accessory department over there for great gift giving, you're going to love it. And don't forget, they've got the best invest in parts and service guys over there, too. They can figure out problems and get them fixed. Let's ride where the fun is sold. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, open Tuesdays through Saturdays. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Yeah, howdy. I haven't been around for the last couple of years, but I'm back now. And it's good to hear that you now have my opinion of The Simpsons. You didn't have that 2 years ago.
I will admit that I was, to use a word that I'm not proud of right now, I was protecting in some form the congressman as to staying in the Congress seat. But you know what? After the White Clouds issue and after the issue of the Muslim Brotherhood and his letter to Michelle Bachmann, I have changed my mind. And here's another point, listener, and I just recognized who this is, and it's nice to hear from you again. Another point is that I told Mike that I thought he was wrong. He called us McCarthyists, and what he did to Michelle Bachmann in sending a letter of condemnation when she was questioning about those appointments, he was wrong, and he owes her an apology.
Okay, I don't remember that happening, but I didn't hear much news while I was gone either. And I've got a present for you. It's going to go real good next to your Obama mask behind you there.
I'll look forward to it, sir. Thank you so much for your call.
Where can I leave that so you can pick it up, or I can drop it off?
I tell you what, you can drop it off at Perkins Restaurant. They're our new home for our lunch bunch, and they'll hold it for me if you don't mind.
Okay, and Michael Rogers' website isn't working anymore.
Oh.
How do I get a hold of him?
I'll check it out. He's on michaelrogersweather.com, but if it's not working, I'll find out, and I'll put that on the radio tomorrow, because it should be working. He's got his award-winning photographs on there and everything, but I'll check it out and find out for tomorrow on the program, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate your call. Don't forget, on Wednesdays, we have a program called In the Driver's Seat, presented by Scows CarQuest Centers and Rupert, Burley, and Hayburn, and co-hosted by a really good guy, Jeff Poole. And don't forget, for all of your automotive needs, underline this, every detail matters at Scows in Rupert, Burley, and Hayburn. Now, I'm telling you what, I don't care if it's windshield wipers, I don't care if it's oil, I don't care if it's anything you need for your driving, whether it's seat covers or whether it might be any kind of a radar. They got everything over there. Radar detectors, they've got everything. I'm looking at their catalog here, and they've got everything, because every detail does matter. And on Wednesdays at 9:30, we get Jeff on the phone and answer a lot of questions, talk about winter safe driving, so you stop in and see the people that really know about automobiles and trucks. And that's, of course, Scows CarQuest Center in Rupert, 323 East 8th Street, Highway 25, Scows CarQuest of Burley, 518 Overland and Burley, and Scows Truck Center, I-84 exit 211. Yep, every detail matters at Scows. Gina, quick call, quick question. How are you this morning? I haven't had a chance to hardly visit with you at all.
I am doing well, just sitting down and going through some paperwork.
Let me ask you, as a mom, and knowing the information that we just had with Ryan Morrow, and by the way, I want to say that Ryan Morrow is one of the most respected terror experts in the United States. He recently, and he's many times been on Hannity, he's many times been on Megyn Kelly, the Kelly File, and this guy scares me because of his knowledge that he has, and it's happening right in our backyard. Nobody seems really to be too concerned.
I think we do need to be concerned, and for those who aren't, better wake up like PDQ.
Well, you know, these terror camps, Oregon, Texas, some people claim that there's one in Utah. I'm not aware of the fact, but there are books that show that they're in Texas, New York State, all across the United States. Why? Why in the world are we giving money to these groups basically to turn around and possibly in the future kill us?
I have no idea. I wish I had an answer to that aside from stupidity. I have no idea.
All right. Well, listen, next hour, we're going to be engrossed in another great historical story from our dear friend, Dr. History. Yeah. And then at 10:30, James Herson, attorney from L.A., talking about Hollywood trying to get Hillary in as president in 2016. But right now, thanks to one of our great team members, Gina Jameson, at our main studios, we're going to slide over to ABC News, and I'll be back in a second. 6.
It happened right here. Late summer of 1865 was to disprove these claims and show that the Overland was still the top stage company of the country. So, speed and efficiency were what counted, and Ben Holliday had announced that the run would cut 6 or 7 days off the present schedule, come rain, heat, or high water, or Indians.
Okay.
So the Overland's best stages and horses had been put in ready. They were going to run from San Francisco to Atchison, Kansas, and this was over some of the worst, most hazardous stretch of deserts and mountains to be found anywhere. And, of course, the Indians, hostile Indians, they're out there waiting for anything that moved, whether it be on wheels or on 2 or 4 legs. And, of course, then keep in mind desert storms, heat, washed-out roads, mountains, all these obstacles, but it didn't make any difference to the government. They wanted to have the best people running this deal. So here's the deal. The run was to be made in relays. The first stage leaving Oakland to go as far as Placerville, then a change of teams and drivers, and it or another Concord wagon in its place would go on. But for Holliday, this was to be a long and continuous trip, changing from stage to stage as the run continued. He was not one to leave a job to somebody else in case they messed it up, and he was going to see that the mail got through, and he was going to be there to do it.
Okay.
So picture in your mind, here's this guy. He's kind of dressed the part, wool pants, flannel shirt, polished boots, wide-brimmed black hat, big watch chain of gold nuggets. He had a jewel-studded belt around his waist where he kept a good old heavy Colt revolver. So at the crack of the driver's whip, the 4 fine horses took off, and the greatest transcontinental stagecoach crossing in history was underway. Now, the run to Folsom and Placerville up the Sacramento Valley was without incident, except that people noticed that the stage was kind of ahead of schedule. Well, quickly the teams were changed at Placerville, and Holliday chewed away on a piece of meat and a hunk of bread, and this time he got up on the wagon with the driver and waved them on, and so up through the narrow gorges and the hairpin turns in the high Sierras, here comes this big old Concord, and Holliday sitting right beside the driver yelling, he says, "Faster, darn it, faster."
I'll bet he did. Those were the exact words that he used. Yes, sirree.
I thought you'd catch that. We'll leave it to the listener's imagination what he was really telling the driver.
Yeah.
So anyway, his eyes were always on the road ahead, because this was a race to save the great transportation empire that he had built. And if he didn't win, it could fall apart. So he needed to retain that mail contract, and a fast run would pretty much, and the publicity would pretty much do it. So with the war over, the newspapers across the country were kind of hungry for headlines, and so if the Overland stage could lop off 6 or 7 days, that would make headlines. So night and day, the Concord sped eastward, Holliday sleeping maybe an hour or 2 at a stretch, curled up inside. No passengers were taken on this because Holliday didn't want to mess with anybody riding inside or having to worry about them stopping to go to the bathroom or stopping to get something to eat. So the stagecoach, it rocked on over trails that in some places didn't even hardly resemble a road. And, as Holliday was going, he had a little time to contemplate his past.
Uh-huh.
So that's where we're going to go back to just for a minute while he's riding along. When he was 17 years old, he had left his home in Kentucky and struck out for St. Louis. And here he met some of the great trappers and traders like Bill Sublett and some of those guys. And he signed on for a freighting trip to Santa Fe. And through the Comanches, the heat, the dust, thirst, and even illness, it didn't discourage him. He liked it. He liked this freighting thing, and it took him 40 days to go down and back. But anyway, he made a trip home to see his family, and at St. Louis, he got on a steamer and went up to Missouri just to see what he could see. You can imagine, 17, 18, he just wanted to see the world. So
sure. Mm-hmm.
But what he saw, he liked, and that was a little town called Weston. And I don't know if it's even still called that. It was kind of a rip-roaring new town on the banks of the river across from Fort Leavenworth. So, and he just kind of felt like he would find his fortune here. So that's where he stopped. And at this time, there was trouble between the Missourians and the Mormons. And so Ben joined the state militia. But he didn't really like what he saw going on. And actually, his sympathy kind of went over to them, and he did some things that actually helped him out, but eventually he resigned from the militia. So freighting was his calling. I mean, Ben decided, and he quickly raised some money and organized a freight line, but he needed help, so he sent for his brothers and his parents, and they all came up there. So young Ben actually made history that first summer. His brothers were there, and one thing and another, and he got out on an anvil, and he started making a wagon wheel, the metal part of it, but he made it 4 inches wider than an ordinary wagon wheel. Now, I'm not sure how wide an ordinary wagon wheel is. I'm guessing 3 to 4 inches.
Yeah, I was going to say possibly 4 to 5. I'm not sure. The guy to ask would be good old Ray Bagby out there at Declo. He'd know.
Yeah. So anyway, he's going to add 4 more inches to this wire or this metal wagon wheel. So anyway, a wagon that was fully equipped with wide tires, it kind of drew attention from the people around. And of course, some of the old guys, they said, you'll never get horses to pull that thing with those wide tires.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, the queer-looking wagons actually became kind of a laughingstock. But when he took off and he cut off 6 days off the regular schedule, people began to take notice because the wide tires held up the weight. It didn't sink down into the mud or the sand, and it rolled easier.
I see.
Something he came up with. Anyway, when this stage of life was developing, Ben's brother David discovered near Weston a spring of sparkling clear limestone water. So he decided to start a distillery. It became known as McCormick Distillery, which makes, I guess, there's a world-famous McCormick whiskey.
Oh. I wouldn't know. I mean, that's far beyond my knowledge.
Well, I don't know, but anyway, so that came from Ben's brothers.
I see.
Anyway, okay. So meanwhile, Russell, Majors, and Waddell had a freight and a stage line, but they kept running out of money. So they'd go to Ben Holiday and ask him for money. And eventually they borrowed too much, and Ben Holiday closed them out, and he gained possession of hundreds of Conestoga freight wagons, Concord stages, horses, and equipment. So Holiday now owns some 6,000 horses, 200 Concords, to maintain a mail and passenger service of more than 3,000 miles of trails and roads. So this is where he really got his kickstart for the overland. So anyway, if the run from San Francisco to Kansas was made successfully, he would be able to maintain the supremacy, if you want to call it, in the field of stagecoaching.
Mm-hmm.
So here he is. Most of the time he's up on the box encouraging the driver with colorful language. But frequently he'd actually take the lines himself. So here we go. We're going, like I said, went through Placerville. Now they get to Salt Lake. They go down through Echo Canyon and into Fort Bridger. And now they're starting to be noticed by the newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
And so a few headlines are coming out. But leaving Fort Bridger, they were in Indian country. And Ben Holiday scarcely left the box now. He was sitting with a rifle across his knees, and because at this point, an Indian raid would certainly ruin what he was trying to accomplish.
I would think so.
Yeah. Okay, so here they come. They're coming into a relay station, and they find it burned out in ruins. Nothing was left. No horses, no teams. 3 attendants lay dead, scalped. So they kept going. What else could they do? So they get to the next station. Sure enough, wrecked, burned out, black. 2 attendants lay dead, their bodies full of arrows. So now we're moving on, same team of horses. So
how many miles was that?
Pardon?
How many miles between stage stops did they go?
I'm not sure. I know there's the stage stop up in by the City of Rocks, and then the next one I think was over by Oakley.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, maybe 15 miles?
15, 20 miles? I see.
Yeah,
okay. All right.
I'm just going to guess.
All right.
15 to 20. So by this time, Ben had been going without sleep and pushing these horses. Finally, one horse just dropped in his tracks, and another horse dropped dead from a heart attack. So they only had 2 horses left, but they pushed him on, and then they lost a wheel. The stage tipped on its side. Luckily, they were able to get it back up. They had a spare wheel. Anyway, they did get to the next station, and with fresh horses and a new Concord, they finally hit Green River. Now, beyond Green River, as they got going, pretty soon they rolled into a lightning, thunderstorm, and almost total darkness. They had to just kind of lay over till they could see.
Do you have any good news about this trip?
Oh, yeah, it's coming.
I see. Okay.
Okay, so rain coming down in sheets. I mean, some of the crossings were almost impossible to get through. So, like I said, they kind of had to wait. But they were still ahead of schedule. So finally they were off again. They went through, and some of these places you might recognize, Saltwell, Sulphur Springs, Medicine Bow, Big Laramie. And near Big Laramie, they hit a huge dust storm that slowed them down to a walk. And I've heard stories from truck drivers about some of those places across Wyoming that absolutely are terrible dust storms.
Yeah.
So, well, anyway, they finally rolled into Denver, and now good old Ben, he hadn't had a change of clothes or bath since leaving California, but
they knew he was coming 5 miles before he got there.
Yeah, and of course the drivers probably didn't smell any better.
Yeah,
so
really,
But anyway, they got into Denver. The reporters flocked around Holiday, but he didn't have much time for interviews. He just, some of them asked him, well, how many hours have you cut off? And he kind of said, not necessarily hours. We're talking days.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so they're in Denver. Horses were changed, and off they went across Colorado to Julesburg and onto the plains of Nebraska. Now, at one point, a band of Sioux Indians broke out of a wash and came charging after the stage. Now, this comes right out of TV and movies. Holiday grabbed a rifle and lay on top of the stage, shooting away at the Indians, galloping along after the stage. And in a cloud of dust, it kind of concealed them from view, and the strong horses that were pulling the stage were faster than the Indian ponies.
Really?
And pretty soon they outdistanced them and got away. So anyway, at last, here they come into Atchison, Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And old Holiday, he must have been kind of a showman, because he told the driver, he said, lay on the whip and come in at a dead run. So Holiday instructed the driver, he says, make it look good, and it did. Now, if you picture in your mind, this stage was drawn by 6 black, beautiful horses, matched, and they came in just lathered and puffing, and there was a huge crowd gathered to greet them. And anyway, as the crowd the Concord drew up in front of the stage office, Holiday stood up on top, fired his rifle, and announced to everyone, he said, we did this in 12 days and 2 hours.
Wow.
So, and that may not sound like much to us now, but anyway, it was actually 5 days better than any other vehicle had ever crossed over those same roads, mountains, and deserts.
Wow.
So 12 days and 2 hours, but it had cost him quite a bit. It cost him $25,000, broken up stages, dead horses, but it was then, and still is, the fastest time ever made over that route by any horse-drawn vehicle.
Wow. Have you ever been on a stagecoach?
I have, but I can't say, I've never, just in museums. I've never actually ridden.
Oh, well, let me tell you something, my dear friend. I have, and I think I've talked to you about it. I've been on the Benny Binion stagecoach that used to tour all over the United States and go to the national finals and go to the World Quarter Horse finals, etc. And I had a chance about 9-10 years ago to come into the Coliseum at Oklahoma City on a dead run with 6 matched black horses pulling the Benny Binion stage at a full-out gallop, and then have the driver, Scott, turn that stagecoach at the bottom end of the arena, go on 2 wheels, and make figure eights in the arena. And yours truly had a laundry bill of about $1,000.
Just to see that, to watch 6 beautifully matched horses in perfect rhythm, and obviously a driver that knew what he was doing.
Oh, we would hope.
Yeah. What a sight that would be. But, Holiday actually cut off 5 days off this route, and he actually became an international figure overnight. Mayors presented him keys to the cities. They had a parade in New York City down Fifth Avenue, and he actually tossed gold coins into the crowd. And obviously at this point, Congress had only one choice. They had to award the Overland, the mail contract for another year because it was the fastest.
You know, and the thing is, learning how to ride on one of those things. Anybody that's ever been on a stagecoach that's going at a fairly good clip, I was on top. I was riding shotgun, if you will, next to the driver. And it was all I could do to hang on. I'm being serious. That's how bad it was. It was just every ounce of strength to hang on. The driver uses a footboard and also the reins to help balance. Boy, you're up there at shotgun. I'm surprised a lot more people haven't bit the dust falling off the stage.
Well, you know, I can only imagine, too. And you were in an arena.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine going across rocks and creeks and up mountain passes and all the things they did?
Well, yeah, but, you know, the thing is, the swaying of the stagecoach, you know, the back and forth motion of the stage on the springs, etc. And then you take, and they were putting on a show. We were up on that stagecoach. And I've got a video, and I've also got pictures right here on my wall behind me depicting what happened. And you can imagine with the sway and the powerful 6 horses going at a full gallop and then turning that outfit, and it goes on 2 wheels. And after the whole thing was over, I said to Scott, I said, how many times have you ever tipped that over? And he goes, oh, well, a couple of times, once at San Antonio and another time over at Denver, and I turned the white sheet routine, man. I tell you what, I was as white as a ghost.
Well, it was an exciting time in our history, you know. I can imagine just even watching them go past your farm or your ranch, you know, years and years ago. But,
yeah.
You know, Holliday actually, he kept that contract for several years, and he eventually sold it. And when he was 68, he died in Portland and buried up there. But those Concord wagons with the that says Overland Mail and Express Company, they can still be found, I guess, in a few places. And they were well built, and some of the wagons I've seen in various museums, like, let's see, where was I? I think it was Deadwood. South Dakota. There was a museum there that had wagons, and I think there was one of those in there. But if you see one now, they're worth a lot of money, and and now they're well kept and clean and shiny and really beautiful looking wagon.
What we ought to do is I'll try to set this up, if it's all right with you, one day in maybe the next week or so. During your segment, I'll have Ray Bagby call, and we can learn more about those Concord stages. And he makes and restores those old stagecoaches. And what we'll do is we'll have him on the air, and we'll kind of talk for a few minutes about this run against time with the stagecoach, and he can tell you, too, how doggone hard they are to ride up on top and how uncomfortable they are to try to stay in the middle of those inside.
Yeah. Well, and again, you'd have people on the inside, and sometimes you'd have passengers on the top with all the luggage in the back. I mean, I don't know. You wonder if they're a little top-heavy sometimes.
Well, we will find out, and that was an excellent story this morning, and I'll try to follow up on that a little bit and have maybe Ray call in next week, and while we're on the segment, we'll just give about 5 minutes and find out about it. Hey, Dr. History, yes, go ahead.
I was going to say, it's too bad we don't have the same roads and things at this point to do a redo of that run.
Yeah, but would you want to? I don't think I'd want to take that run on top of a stagecoach, my friend.
That's probably true. It's just that, there's been reenactments of Pony Express and some of the Oregon Trail stuff, but it would be fun to see a reenactment of that.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. In your case, it'd be the best thing ever made because everybody'd be looking for a good chiropractor.
I think they'd be beyond my help. They might be looking for the funeral home.
Dr. Ken Turner, better known as Dr. History. God bless you. I got to run. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
You have a good day.
Thank you. Great program. Great program. Hey, don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, delicious luncheon specials every Monday through Friday for just $5.95. And senior citizen dinner specials Monday through Thursday starting at 4 p.m. Only $5.95. And speaking of which, today they're going to have chicken teriyaki over a steamed rice with veggies and super salad. It's going to be really, really good. Nice people. The atmosphere is great at the Chadwick Sports Grill, 139 West Main in Burley. You stop in and see them today. We're going to take a little break. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, thank you very much, and welcome back to our last half hour on the program this morning. And don't forget the bookstore in Rupert. The Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply, 515 5th Street on the south side of the square. They're going to have a pre-Christmas open house on Friday, November 22nd. Oh, you can save all kinds of money. Women's clothing, scarves, hats, purses, jewelry, everything. And then, of course, don't forget the November 29th Christmas lighting on the square in Rupert. This store and this city has it all for you. Christmas City, you better believe it. The Rupert Bookstore and Office Supply, 515 5th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5661. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines and have a guest on the phone that I consider to be, I've never met the man personally, but I consider him to be a good friend. He does a great job on this program, and I'd like to say good morning to Hollywood reporter, legal analyst, and author James Herson, an attorney. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you doing, Zeb?
I am fantastic, James, and I was reading kind of a cheat sheet about what we were going to talk about today, and I thought, oh my goodness, will the liberals in Hollywood never learn? They forced Obama upon us, and now they're making a big push for Hillary in 2016. James, why can't you stand on the street corner and try to wise people up down there?
Oh, well, I can't, a lot of people are on the street corner, with those signs that say impending doom is coming, or, they're preaching the gospel on the street corner. It doesn't matter. They don't listen in Hollywood. I mean, the thing is, the social structure is so pervasively left of center that, and they're so ill-informed that it just doesn't pierce through. Even to the point where after going through what they've gone through, what the entire country has gone through the last 5 years, they will not relinquish these ties they have with the Democratic Party, and particularly Hillary Clinton. Ironically, as I mentioned in that article, a prominent music executive, Irving Azoff, talks about Hillary. He says, well, we're not 100% satisfied with Obama. We need someone more centrist. Mm-hmm. And they identify Hillary Clinton as more centrist. She's the grandmother of Obamacare. She's the one that came up with this whole idea. It was called Hillary Care. But it's just, I guess, hope springs eternal in Hollywood that there will be, a person, a leader who doesn't incorporate those terrible views of the Tea Party and Sarah Palin and George W. Bush and all the people they detest and hate. Because even Chris Christie's got a rude awakening. He thinks because he's a moderate that somehow Hollywood is going to accept him. Harvey Weinstein recently said something nice about him. But in the end, he's got that R next to his name, and they will not support him.
Why is a name like Hillary Clinton just all of a sudden accepted to the point where they will just open their checkbooks and open their hearts and just blatantly jump in the fray and fight anybody for her nomination to presidency, when she's going to have a lot of baggage behind her coming into that nomination? Benghazi's going to be a major problem. She's going to have the problem with her husband Bill, with all of his philandering. She's going to have a problem for her attitude, her personality, and how she treated people in the White House the first time. I mean, she's not going to be easily accepted to the United States population, is she?
Well, I think there is baggage, and I think the people that would bring up the baggage normally, and it would have resonance, are those that run against her in the primary. But the Clintons are doing everything they can to make sure they're not blindsided by an opponent like they were back in 2008 from Barack Obama, and they're trying to make Hillary as inevitable as possible. And in Hollywood, she is. In an unprecedented way, between now and the end of the year, there's an organization that has sprung up called Ready for Hillary, and they're having 2 fundraisers in Hollywood to raise money for a candidate who is not announced, Hillary Clinton. And, back at the time I mentioned in 2008, Hollywood became divided. The big money was divided between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Even the DreamWorks billionaires that normally all give their money, to Democratic causes were divided between the two. This time, right now, Hollywood is united. Their resources, their endorsements, their celebrity power, all that they can bring to the table, the propaganda power they have, is all going to be at Hillary's disposal. That's going to be intimidating to people like Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren, who in theory are the people they're talking about, and others who could possibly run against her for the Democratic nomination. And if they don't, if she's unopposed, then all the talk, her baggage, the Benghazi baggage, etc., will come from the Republican opponent, and then they can dismiss it very easily. Well, that's just partisan.
Yeah. James, let me ask you another name here, and you probably think I'm pretty well out in left field when I say this, buying popcorn and watching the game from the cheap seats, but I'm still not convinced that there's not going to be another name thrown up in the fray for the nod for nomination, and that might be John Kerry. I honestly believe in my heart of hearts that's why he took the nomination and the position of Secretary of State, to use it as a springboard possibly to run for 2016.
Well, in politics, anything's possible, and John Kerry was, a legitimate candidate, and he's very well respected in Democratic circles. He's perceived by many to be more centrist, probably is, than Barack Obama. So that's possible, and I also think it's possible that Joe Biden, just being who he is, that people, that he's just sort of this renegade crazy man, that he might run no matter what. But it's not the same on the Democrat side, no matter who you talk to, and the big powers and the money and everything, as it is on the Republican side, where the Republicans are clearly divided between the establishment represented by Chris Christie and the non-establishment represented by perhaps, by Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, and possibly Marco Rubio and others. So it's just, no matter who, even if John Kerry were to run, I honestly think this time, because the Clintons are lining their ducks much more carefully than they did before, that Hillary will get that nomination, and she's likely to be the next president.
James, how do you feel that the Democrats and Hollywood will have to reshape or reform or clean up the kitty litter that Obama's leaving on the floor with Obamacare, Benghazi, the IRS, the other scandals, Fast and Furious? How are they going to clean it up and reshape it for Hillary so that she comes in almost squeaky clean?
Well, you already see it happening with Bill Clinton, with this comment about, that he thought that President Obama should make steps to meet the commitment he gave to the American people, that if they liked their plan, they could keep it, that Obama should change Obamacare. That statement was an attempt by the Clintons to distance themselves and Hillary from some of the kitty litter you're talking about, and it is piling up like crazy. And the poll numbers, they're going to have to, distance Hillary from this, because it appears it's going to be one of the biggest political debacles in the history of the nation. We already see the American people now expressing disapproval of Obamacare in numbers approaching 60%, president's approval ratings falling down in the Nixon levels in the high 30s and headed downward, and this attempt to try to, have an apology that was a really weak apology, to use terms like we fumbled.
Yeah.
As if this was some inadvertent, dropping of a football in the middle of a football game. This is far, far more serious than that. It's a scandal, and the credibility and the trust level is at a dangerously low level. So, yeah, I'm sure that no matter who the Republican nominee is, that, as a matter of fact, Scott Walker is now saying that the Obama, he's clearly running, governor of Wisconsin, that Obamacare is the defining issue of the upcoming 2014 campaign and upcoming 2016 campaign, because it's only going to get worse. Things are only going to get worse. And I think it ended up being far worse than anyone would have predicted.
Let me throw a little fire upon fire here. Let's say that Hillary is going to get the nod as the front runner for the Democrats, and Hollywood is really going to toot her horn and try to push her right into the Oval Office. What would you say to this idea that the Republicans all of a sudden say, okay, here comes Condoleezza Rice out of retirement. We're going to run her. She's sharp. She's got a great resume, and we think she can beat Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, it's been talked about a lot that an African American woman versus that would be a good thing. There are some problems though with Condoleezza Rice, whether she could actually win in the primaries, because the social issues are not there for her in terms of what primary voters want to see in a Republican candidate. In addition, the Democratic machine, and we saw this in the last re-election of Obama in that campaign, will use anything and everything to destroy the image and character of anybody. I mean, with Harry Reid accusing Mitt Romney of being a tax cheat, with Stephanie Cutter and other surrogates going out there and claiming that he beat up homosexuals in high school, that he tied animals to the roof of cars.
Oh, brother.
Painting the picture of a despicable human being, having ads that accused him of murder. They can do that kind of approach with anyone. I guess the difference would be, I suppose, Condoleezza maybe wouldn't listen to the establishment gurus, and she'd fight back. 'Cause there's plenty to do, and that would take away some of the intimidation that a male candidate might have about attacking, a female opponent.
Very well stated. We have a caller with a question. Go ahead, caller, quickly, please.
I want to know, if Hillary wins, is she going to bring back all the stuff that she stole when her and Bill left that White House?
Well, I'll put the
bring back what?
Is she going to bring back all the items that she stole from the White House on the first trip with Bill?
Wow, there's a caller with good memory. Yeah, that was a big scandal. Well, first of all, I don't think they ever acknowledged that story to be true, and that they're going to try everything. I mean, look, that people with memories remember Whitewater. People with memories remember Hillary Clinton under oath having all of a sudden total amnesia under oath. They remember, a lot about her various makeovers and her Rose Law Firm records that were mysteriously disappearing, and on and on. But, I just don't think, unless there's an opponent in the Democratic primary, I don't think those issues will have traction. I think Benghazi has a potential, depending upon, whether or not the White House and the Clintons can control the whistleblowers.
Absolutely.
Benghazi has the potential to derail her.
Absolutely. Okay, now, you're an attorney. So you're going to be getting a telephone call in 30 minutes. You pick up the phone, and it's Alec Baldwin asking you to represent him in defense of all the idiocy that he's perpetrated to various reporters. How in the world do you defend this nutcase? What's the matter with this guy?
Well, one thing about Alec Baldwin, he's always had an anger management issue. And part of it is he's a drama king. He's a method actor, and I think he doesn't know how to turn it off. When it comes to these last couple of altercations, I have some sympathy for Alec in this sense. Number one, his motivation was to defend his wife. I would do the same, even though it turned out it was wrong. He didn't treat the female reporter with enough respect. You don't get in the face of a woman like that. But the thing he got suspended on MSNBC, and I noticed Ann Coulter weighed in on this, and I happen to agree with her. Alec Baldwin was essentially accused of some sort of an anti-gay remark. Mm-hmm. But he used a term that I'm sure he heard growing up in Long Island. And it's a term that many of us heard, and it's not directed at any sexual preference. It's really just a colloquial term for a jerk. It's just a real nasty, profane way. I could right now, I would not be able to say about 3 or 4 terms that if you take them literally refer to some sort of sexual activity or whatever, but really mean a jerk. Mm-hmm. And this organization that represents homosexuals went public and said that this was an anti-gay remark. It really wasn't. But here's Alec Baldwin, the purveyor of political correctness. So there's a certain sense of poetic irony that now he's suffering under the same political correctness that he himself has promulgated for all these years, and he's being called a bigot, the technique that's constantly used to shut down debate with conservatives. And maybe that's a very important lesson for Alec Baldwin. But as from an attorney point of view, the MSNBC suspension is silly. Mm-hmm. In the light of they've got people like Martin Bashir, who said something so vile I can't repeat about Sarah Palin, subsequently apologized. They've got Ed Schultz, who is constantly going over the top.
Absolutely.
They specialize in it. So for them to suspend Alec Baldwin makes them just a bigger hypocrite even than he is.
Yeah, but one final thought here real quick. Wouldn't you like to be invited to the Baldwin Thanksgiving dinner, all the different personalities cutting that turkey? That'd be interesting.
Well, I know Stephen, and I actually asked him if I could come, but my invitations never come. But it would be great because it's mainly Stephen versus Alec.
Right.
Because Stephen is a conservative. He's a religious conservative, a serious Christian guy, and but the amazing thing, and I guess it's a lesson for all of us, he told me their Thanksgiving dinner is a loving, familial affair. It's the way it should be. So they agree to disagree, and that's maybe a lesson for all of us in America.
Amen, and a great way to end it. And from our house to yours, James, happy Thanksgiving, and not too long around the corner, Merry Christmas. Thanks for being on the program this morning. Always appreciate you.
My pleasure, Zeb. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. James Urson, attorney, author, and just absolutely very knowledgeable of what's happening in the world of Hollywood, and talking about Hollywood pushing and promoting Hillary Clinton for president in 2016. Holy cow, we've got to have a weather forecast. And the weather this hour is brought to you by our friends with Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Of course, gas furnaces, heat pumps, all of which you can find through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Here now, Michael Rogers Weather.
Hi, everybody. Michael Rogers, MichaelRogersWeather.com. Yucky couple of days for today, at least for today and tomorrow. Got rain in the forecast, and it's going to continue all the way into tomorrow. We're looking for a high right around 52 for the high. The oil low currently right in the upper 30s. That'll continue into tomorrow. Once we get out of tomorrow, you've got nice weather, cooler temperatures all the way through Monday. So enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. What do you got?
All right, Michael, thank you very much. I'm brought to you by Lennox Home Comfort Systems through our friends Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. What do we got tomorrow on the program? Well, let's take a look. We've got Doug Johnson at 9:06 from Colorado, and then we're going to have the Scows CarQuest report in the driver's seat with Jeff Poole, and we have, Joel Heward's going to be on the program, and then we have the Idaho Fish and Game report for the month coming up tomorrow. All kinds of goodies, including all of your phone calls, so don't forget to give us a jingle tomorrow. Before I leave, I'm going to talk to Gina in just a few minutes, but I want to remind everybody about winter traction tire driving. Yep. Better get into your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations have all the tires you need for winter time driving. You better believe it. They've got tires pinned for studs. They've got tires of all the different tread designs. They have the tires you need for safe winter time driving. It's going to be here, all the sludge and the snow and the ice, so be prepared. And don't forget, they've got all the snow wheels, and they've got the tire chains, and they've got the best in batteries and brake service. Absolutely the best in brake service. Along with front-end alignments, it's all there. It's all there at every single one of the 7 locations with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike in Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Gina, are you right there?
I am.
I want to get your opinion on something, and it's going to become more prominent as the months go along towards 2014 and beyond. Right. But already, to some people on the left side of the aisle politically, they're saying it's a slam dunk. Don't worry about it. Biden and the rest of them can just sit there and waste money because Hillary's going to be the next president of the United States. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. I even have questions about Hillary Clinton, and you can't. That's pretty.
What are your questions? I mean, what are your negatives about her? From a woman's standpoint, what are your negatives about her?
Credibility.
Okay.
Why did she back away from being Secretary of State just so easily? Of course, there's the Benghazi issue. Mm-hmm. There is what she truly believes and stands for in her heart. Is she all about the social reform? I really did like her husband as a president. I really did like Bill. Hillary, I'm not quite so sure about. I've got a lot of reserves, and it's just kind of a gut feeling.
You know, I will say this, and I want you to get a response real quick before we run out of time. I look at the Clinton power that's been in the White House. Yes. I look at the Clinton power that has stepped on, hurt, and destroyed many people. I look at the Clinton power of a machine comparable to the Kennedy family. Do you agree or disagree?
No, I completely agree. Completely agree.
And that scares me.
And they have power worldwide.
Yeah.
It's not here in the United States. They have power worldwide.
But I think when I compared, like the other day when we were talking about the assassination of JFK and the father, the patriarch, Joseph Kennedy, and the death of Robert and the death of John, and the finger pointing at the mob, etc. Well, you know, there's been a lot of death and destruction and mayhem underneath the Clinton administration that's never really been proven.
This is true. And honestly, I think that needs to be something to look into. Whoever the next Democratic presidential candidate is going to be, I think that they need to be fully vetted because I'm not impressed with the Republicans, nor am I impressed with the Democrats.
But I look at the news, and like James was alluding to that Ed Schultz on MSNBC, the guy that's a nutcase, and he's just basically already assigned the chair in the Oval Office to Hillary and nobody else. I can't see 3 years in advance how they can possibly do this kind of thing. you've got others that want to throw their hat in the ring, be it Joe Biden or be it even John Kerry. And I think, honestly, I'll stand behind my statement. That's why John Kerry took the Secretary of State position, is so that he could be in the news and on display all the time to possibly get the nod.
Absolutely, because truly the Secretary of State is third in line to the presidential office if anything happens to the other two.
Yeah.
So it's a great position to pad your resume with if you're looking for the presidency.
Well, we'll talk more about this tomorrow, and I've enjoyed the program today. Everybody, I thank you very much for tuning in. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't forget to get me those paragraphs about what Thanksgiving means to you. Send those to my email, zebatatheranch@hotmail.com, and you still have time. Our first drawing is going to be on this Thursday for a couple of turkeys. Compliments Valley-Wide Home and Ranch, Ramsey Heating and Electric, Smith's Food King, and, of course, Zeb at the Ranch. So tune in. We'll have those drawings on Thursday. But tomorrow on the program, we'll saddle the horse at 8:06 and ride for 3 hours. The way things were are the way things ought to be. God bless you and your family. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, Gina. Have a good day.